Hello everybody and welcome to this tutorial. Today I'll be talking you through how to install the Ambuild code onto a Ubuntu or Debian machine. The instructions to do this can be found in the readme.md file at www.github.com/linux/ambuild. Ambuild is a Python program developed by the group of Dr. Abby Trewin at Lancaster University to model polymeric molecular structures. To get in touch with us, please feel free to follow Ambuild on Twitter using the handle @Ambuild2. To install Ambuild along with all of the other relevant components, please copy each section in a grey box in the readme.md file individually and paste these into a terminal window. We recommend that Ambuild is installed inside the /opt directory, as this will allow you to use the same commands to run the code as we do. However, this is completely down to you as the user to decide. The first step we need to do in the Ambuild installation process is to install Numpy, which can be done using a command such as pip install numpy. So if we copy and paste this into our terminal window, press enter, we'll let that run. And we can see here that it says successfully installed Numpy version 1.19.1, so that step's done. So now that we've got Numpy installed, we can use Ambuild to build molecular structures, but we can't run any molecular dynamics or optimization steps. To do this, we need whomdblue. So the instructions below will explain how to install Ambuild and whomdblue using Docker. So we need to install Docker first. These instructions are found from the Docker website. If you've already got Docker installed, please skip ahead to section 4. If not, I'll talk you through how to do this now. So the first thing we need to do is to remove any old versions of Docker using this command here, sudo apt-get remove docker, docker engine, docker.io, containerd, runk. So let's copy and paste this in. Okay, so that's run very quickly. So now we've done that and got rid of any old versions of Docker which may or may not have been installed on our machine, we can update the list of packages and install the new version of Docker using these two commands here. So the first one is this one, so let's copy and paste this, sudo apt-get update, enter, just leave that to run. Now we'll know when this is finished when it comes back at the end saying, in my case, Abby at widow, so you know that you can continue on using your terminal. So let's just leave this to run, and there we go, it's finished. So this next command has some backslashes in, and these indicate that the second line is a continuation of the first and the third is a continuation of the second, and vice versa. So essentially, if we wanted to, we could write this whole command as one line. However, the other option is to just copy and paste the entire thing into our terminal and then press enter. So let's copy this in, press enter. Again, that's run very quickly. So now that that's done, we can add Docker's official key so that the downloaded packages that we're installing can be verified using this command here. So let's put this one in as well. Again, copy and paste, press enter. So that said okay, it's done, it's happy that it's done that successfully. Now we're going to add a stable repository so that we can download things from this using this key here. Again, the backspaces indicate that it could all be written as one line if we chose to. So that's running now. Once this is finished, we'll have the Docker repository added to our computer, and then we can then update the list of packages and install Docker. So let's do that with these two commands here. Again, the sudo apt-get update command that we used previously. It's running now. And then we will install Docker using this command. Okay. So the next thing to do is to create a Docker group, which means that users do not need to use sudo to be able to run Ambuild using Docker. And it's advantageous to do it this way rather than having to keep using the root user and having to use sudo. So this is the way that we'll show you how to do it. So the first thing to do is to create a group called Docker, and we'll add all of the users into that we want to be able to run Ambuild using Docker without sudo. This Docker group might have already been installed and created when we installed Docker, so it might not be required for us to run this command, but it's better to run the command twice than to not run it at all. So let's run this one to make sure that it's definitely installed, as it is here. Group Docker already exists, so it was already there, but it's absolutely fine. Then we can add the currently logged in user, so in my case it's Abby, to this group. So if you replace $user with a different name, that will install a different user who isn't currently logged in to the Docker group. So that's another way you can add somebody else if you want to. Here I've added Abby. Now we need to activate the group so that we don't have to keep logging in and logging out all the time. So that can be done using new group Docker. Let's paste that in. Okay, now that we've done all this, we can test whether our Docker installation has worked properly and that we've got everything added as it should have done. So we can do this using this docker run hello world. Here we're not putting sudo at the front, so we can test whether we need to have the sudo there or if it's all worked as we think it has. So let's run this and it will tell us whether our Docker has installed. So it says here, hello from Docker. This message shows that your installation appears to be working correctly. So everything's gone absolutely fine there, which is great. So we can move on. So the next step is to install Nvidia drivers, which we can do using this command here, sudo ubuntu drivers auto install. So let's copy and paste this. And just leave this to run, it might take a minute or so. So once this is installed, we can move on to the next step, which is installing Docker Runtime, which allows Docker to talk to our GPU card, which allows Ambuild to run a lot faster than if we were just using the CPU on the computer, and they can talk to each other using the Nvidia drivers that we're installing now. So the instructions for that section have been taken from the Nvidia GitHub site, and the link to that is in the README should you wish to go and have a look on their GitHub page as well. So this next section that we're about to install has got 4 different grey boxes here. So please make sure that you copy and paste each section individually rather than trying to copy and paste the whole block of text, because that won't work as we expect it to do. The Nvidia drivers are still going, still installing. As you can see in the output, there are lots of different steps that needs to go through to be able to install these drivers, so it's absolutely fine that it's taking a few minutes to do this. Okay, that's now finished. So let's move on then to installing our Nvidia Docker runtime, which allows Docker to talk to the GPU card. So let's start with this line here. Again, some of these lines are saying okay, to say that they're happy that we've installed everything as would be expected. Okay, again this last line is just taking a minute or two. There we go. And then we're going to restart Docker using this command here. Okay, so now we can install the Nvidia container runtime using this sudo apt install Nvidia container runtime command there. So we need to say yes, we want it to take up these additional kilobytes of disk space, and then just press enter, let it run. Okay. Now there's currently a bug with the Nvidia Docker container runtime. You can see details about it at this link here, which is in the README. So what we need to do to work around that is to carry out this additional step here, which is to make a file called daemon.json inside the /etc/docker directories. Now the easiest way to do this is to simply copy and paste this whole block of text as one thing into our terminal, and that will make the file for you rather than you having to open up a file using sudo and write it that way. So let's enter that. Okay, that's been made. Now we need to restart Docker again using the same command as before. So now that that's run, the next thing we need to do is to test the Nvidia SMI with the latest official CUDA image. Now I've cleared my terminal screen on the right hand side before I do this, but you really don't have to if you don't want to, that's absolutely optional. So to do the testing of the Nvidia SMI, we need to use this command here. So let's copy and paste that into our terminal window. In the README you can see an example output, which you should see if your Nvidia installation has worked as expected. If you don't see an output like this, and like we've got on our terminal window on the right hand side, you will need to run these 4 steps here. Because our installation in my case has worked as it should have done, we can skip these 4 steps because these explain how to go about fixing a problem if the Nvidia installation has not worked as it should have done. So in our case we can skip those 4 steps and move on to section 6, which tells us how to disable a secondary video GPU card. Now this is really relevant if you have more than one GPU card, so you might have one as a video GPU and one as a card that you specifically want to run computational simulation jobs on. So disabling the video GPU card enables the Ambuild simulation jobs to be run only on the specialised card, which is what we want it to do. It won't cause any problems with viewing your screen if you disable the video GPU. It will only stop the Ambuild stuff from running on that video card rather than the specialised one. So there's no problems with running stuff. To disable the card, that's absolutely fine. So to work out which card we need to disable, we use this command here, which we can paste in. So we can see here that we've got one GPU on this machine. To test the GPU, and this is the ID of the card here, this big long string of characters. To disable the card, we need to use this command here, so sudo nvidia smi -c 2 to say that we want to disable and make this card prohibited, then a -i, and then we put the ID of the card that we want to disable, which is given here in this last command we've run. So it's important that you make sure you use the ID of your specific GPU card and not just copy and paste this one, because it won't work, because that isn't the card on your machine. You need to make sure you use the correct ID. So press enter, and it will say that the compute mode has been set to prohibited for this GPU card, which is what we want. So that's great. The final thing we need to do then is to get Ambuild. So there's two options to do this. Firstly, you can download a tar.gz file of the latest Ambuild release from the releases page, and the hyperlink is in the readme there if you wish to use it. Or you can do it all directly through a terminal, like we've done for the rest of this installation process, using this command here, followed by the one underneath. So I'll do it this way because this is the way that we've done the rest of the process, but the other option is there if you wish to simply download it from the releases page. So let's run that first command. That has downloaded the tar.gz file. We now need to unpack it using this command here, and that will make a directory called ambuild-1.0.0 containing the Ambuild source code. So that has made the directory in our home directory, and it's there, Ambuild 1.0.0. So that's great, we've now got Ambuild downloaded. If you wish to put it inside the /op directory, as we would recommend, you would need to use sudo move ambuild /-1.0.0 and then into /opt, and that will put it in there for you. So if I go into /opt, you can see it's there now. So thank you for watching this video, and I really hope you enjoy using Ambuild. Hopefully the installation has worked successfully for you first time round. If you want to find out more about how to run Ambuild, there's a link to our wiki page in the readme file there that you can click on, and it will take you to the page on running Ambuild. Thank you very much again for listening. I hope this has been useful for you. Enjoy using Ambuild.